All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a real powerhouse in the tech world, Dynatrace. We're going to explore how this thing is totally changing the game for companies trying to manage their, let's be honest, incredibly complex digital worlds. So, let's just dive right in.
You know that feeling, right? You're trying to transfer money and your banking app just freezes. Or you're finally checking out online and the whole site crashes. It's so frustrating. But what if an AI was working behind the scenes, around the clock, not just to fix those problems, but to predict and prevent them from ever happening in the first place? Yeah, that's the world we're going to explore today.
So, here's our game plan. We'll start with why things are so complex in the cloud, then talk about a smarter way to see what's going on. That's observability. We'll meet the AI detective called Davis, see how Dynatrace works in the real world, stack it up against the competition, and wrap up with why any of this should matter to you.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the cloud's complexity problem. Because really, to get why a tool like Dynatrace even exists, you first have to appreciate the absolute chaos it was built to handle.
You know, back in the day, monitoring was pretty simple. Basically, is the server on or off? Easy. But then, everything moved to the cloud. Big, clunky applications got broken down into hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny little microservices. And that's when things got messy fast. All of a sudden, engineers were drowning in a sea of dashboards, logs, and alerts. Just total information overload.
And here's the kicker. The old tools just couldn't keep up. They weren't built for this new reality. Trying to figure out what went wrong was like looking for a needle in a haystack, except the haystack was on fire and growing every second. It was slow, it was reactive, and everyone knew something had to change.
And that brings us right to Section 2, observability. Now look, this isn't just another tech buzzword. It's a really fundamental shift in how we think about these things. We're moving away from just knowing what broke to really, truly understanding why it broke.
So, what exactly is observability? Well, think of it as the ability to get a complete 360-degree view of your entire system. It does this by combining three key pieces of the puzzle. Metrics, the raw performance numbers, logs, which are basically a diary of everything that happened, and traces, which are super cool. They follow a single user's click all the way through that complicated web of microservices. And this is exactly where Dynatrace changed the game. It's not just another monitoring tool you plug in. No, it's an entire software intelligence platform built from the ground up for this crazy new world. It's all about full-stack observability. So let's take a look at how they actually pull it off.
All right, on to Section 3, and this is where it gets really interesting. We're talking about the AI detective, Davis. Honestly, this is the secret sauce. It's what really separates Dynatrace from everybody else. It's the brain, the intelligence engine that makes sense of all that chaotic data.
I love this analogy. The best way to think about Davis is like a virtual site reliability engineer, or SRE. Imagine an AI expert that works 24/7, tirelessly, with just one goal: to keep your digital services running perfectly. It never gets tired, it never takes a coffee break, and it's constantly learning. So how does it actually work? Well, in real time, Davis is just constantly sifting through billions, with a B, of data points and connections. When it spots something weird, an anomaly, it doesn't just scream, "Hey, something's wrong," and send you a vague alert. No, it goes way deeper. It pinpoints the exact root cause and tells you precisely why it happened.
Okay, so that's the theory behind the AI, which is super cool. But let's get practical. In Section 4, let's look at what Dynatrace actually does in the real world. What can a business really get out of it?
The platform is just incredibly comprehensive. It all starts with this one little piece of software called the OneAgent. You install it, and it automatically goes out and discovers everything in your system. From there, it can see exactly what your real users are experiencing, trace problems across the whole network, and even bake in application security. And the best part? It's all managed from one place.
And you can see how this plays out across all kinds of different industries. Think about an e-commerce site. They use it to make sure that checkout button always works, so they don't lose sales. Or banks, who rely on it to keep millions of transactions secure. Telecom companies need that 24/7 reliability. And in healthcare, well, making sure patient care apps are running perfectly is literally critical.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question in Section 5. How does Dynatrace really stack up against the other big players out there? Companies like Datadog or AppDynamics. This chart pretty much says it all. When you look at the AI engine, others might offer some basic anomaly detection. but Dynatrace's Davis provides causal AI. It actually understands cause and effect. Then there's discovery. With others, it can be a lot of manual work. Dynatrace? It automatically maps your entire stack. And this is the big one, root cause analysis. It's automated in Dynatrace while it's often a manual, painful process elsewhere. That alone saves teams a staggering amount of time.
And real quick, let's talk about pricing. It's a little different. Instead of just a flat subscription, Dynatrace uses a consumption model. It's based on something called a Davis Data Unit, or DPU. Basically, you pay for the amount of data you're actually analyzing. Now, it's definitely a premium product, but what a lot of companies find is that the money, and more importantly, the time they save from all that AI automation gives them a huge return on their investment.
Okay, let's bring this all home in our final section, why this matters to you. We've geeked out on the tech, but what does this mean in practical terms, for businesses, and maybe even for your career?
For a business, the payoff is huge. You get a single source of truth, one view of your entire tech stack. You find the root cause of problems in minutes, not days. That means less downtime, which means happier customers. And you can start building automated self-healing systems that deliver flawless digital experiences even as you scale up.
And what about for you professionally? Look, getting good at a platform like Dynatrace can be a serious game changer for your career. It opens doors to some of the hottest jobs in tech right now. Companies are scrambling to hire observability engineers and SREs. Putting these skills on your resume, that's a massive boost for sure.
So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. As our digital world gets more and more complex, and it's not slowing down, is this kind of AI-driven oversight still just a nice-to-have, or has it become an absolute necessity for any business that wants to survive and thrive? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.